President Trump just dropped the hammer on global trade overnight, rolling out the toughest round of tariffs we've seen since the Great Depression. The Great Depression, y'all. More than 60 countries are getting hit, including major players like Switzerland, Brazil, and India. Some of these import taxes are as high as 41%, and on average, tariffs are now over 17%. But Trump's not stopping there. He's already threatening to hike up prices on life-saving meds, critical tech, and even countries that do business with Russia. So get ready. Everything from cars and clothes to phones and furniture could cost a whole lot more. Experts say the average American family might end up paying thousands more this year. Business leaders are warning this could hit our pockets hard, especially in Black communities already stretched thin. Joining us right now, we have Jennifer Barbosa, International Supply Partners CEO. Jennifer, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
What is your overall assessment of what's going on right now? Because when I hear some of these economists speaking, I'm watching some of these other networks talk about it, I hear people saying, well, we've been able to survive to absorb the tariffs. The country's not doing as bad as people expected. But my immediate thought was, well, in the beginning, he was talking 25, 50% tariffs. It didn't come in that high, so we didn't get hit that bad, but we're still getting hit pretty badly. Am I missing something?
No, you're not missing anything at all. We are going to get hit, and it's going to be a wave effect across the country and multiples of communities. And those that are going to be hit and feel it the most are marginalized groups, communities, small businesses. You know, we're the ones that do the most consumption. We buy. We're the highest group of population. And so we're going to feel it the most because we don't have the discretionary income to be able to absorb the impact. And, you know, we're not a production country. We're a consumption country.
So, Jennifer, I'm so glad that you've been bringing up specifically the small businesses, because quite honestly, I hear people, they'll say, oh, the stock market is doing great, and they'll bring on people to talk about how great the stock market is doing or how great big companies are doing, the Toyotas of the world. But they're not spending enough time talking about what's happening on the ground with small businesses. Can you share what you're seeing and what you're experiencing?
Well, first of all, we're not on the stock market. So we're not going to be able to have the power and volume of investors to be able to leverage resources and funding to be able to respond to what's going on with tariffs. So that's the first thing. The second thing is small businesses do not have the funds, the cash flow to be able to sustain on a long-term basis. And when the materials that you need to support your customers, to sell to your customers, are costing more, but you know that your customers are not making more money, especially if you sell to consumers, then you know that your margins are going to get really tight. And then you're going to have products sitting at the port. Every day that you have to wait for your products to come in is more money that you are losing. Because how are you going to continue to transfer those increased costs to your customers? At some point, they're going to stop buying. And we're going to start seeing that more and more. And I intend to expect that coming through the holidays and as time progresses.
Well, Trump has been very vocal about this tariffs. Let's hear a little bit about what he has to say, and then we'll bring the panel in on the other side.
Doing these things now in the United States instead of other countries, faraway countries. This is a significant step toward the ultimate goal of ensuring that iPhones sold in the United States of America also are made in America. With the mass infusion of capital it's announcing today, Apple will also build a 250,000 square foot server manufacturing facility in Houston and invest billions of dollars to construct data centers across the country from North Carolina to Iowa to Oregon. That's big stuff. Apple will also open state-of-the-art manufacturer economy. It's going to be a manufacturing academy in Detroit, and that's a great place to do. Well, big things are happening in Michigan and Detroit. They're coming in because of what we've done with the, I call it the great big beautiful bill. I added one word, great. But we have probably the biggest, most comprehensive piece of legislation ever passed. It's going to mean unbelievable numbers of jobs, and no jobs on, think of this, whether it's tips or overtime or Social Security, no tax. So no tax on tips, no tax on Social Security, no tax on overtime. And there's just a small bit of it. For Apple and others businesses, we're talking about the deductions and all of the things. And actually for people that go out and buy a car, first time it's ever been done, we talk about deductions for companies, but they're going to be able to deduct interest when they borrow money to buy a car if it's made in America. It has to be made in America. So it is amazing. And one of the reasons I think I can say that Apple's coming here is the legislation we just passed with this kind of investment. Apple will also open other facilities, rare earth magnets from Texas, and build, oh, I love that you're doing this. I love that. I love that. And build a brand new rare earth recycling line in Mountain Pass, California. I know that area. That's where they have a lot of truly rare earth. That's fantastic. I love that. And Apple will help develop and manufacture semiconductors and semiconductor equipment in Texas, Utah, Arizona, and New York. For years, Americans have watched as many of our leading tech giants built their factories overseas and exported American jobs abroad. But under the Trump administration, we're doing everything possible to make this the best place on earth to build a factory or grow businesses. I'm allowing them to build electric producing plants with their factory, because otherwise they'd have to hook into the grid. And I think it's one of the biggest things we've done, where you can build, Tim, your own electricity. You become your own electric manufacturer, and that goes along with the plant. So you become a utility. So congratulations, now you're in the utility. I hope they don't value your company based on utility, but that's okay. You're going to be making your own electricity, and as you probably know, for much of this and many of the things that we're doing, especially the AI, they would need actually double the electricity that the country now produces for everything. So it's massive electric, and they're going to be able to make their own, and they're getting very fast approvals. Lee Zeldin is doing a fantastic job, including with a 100% expensing on the one big, beautiful bill. In return, we're asking our businesses to invest in America, and they're coming in at levels that we've never seen before. So I don't know when it shows up, but there are a lot of factories and a lot of plants that are either under construction or soon will be starting construction. So can't tell you exactly when, but I want to be around in about a year from now and 2 years from now, because we're going to see an explosion, I think, like this country has never seen before. Never. Today's announcement is one of the largest commitments in what has become among the greatest investment booms in our nation's history, and we've got the hottest country anywhere in the world. You know, I told you the story that, and Tim, I'll tell you, but I went to the Middle East, and I was with Qatar, I was with UAE and the King of Saudi Arabia, all great leaders. And then I went to NATO and saw many great leaders, and we just finished that about 4 weeks ago. Virtually everyone said, in effect, that we were a dead country 1 year ago. America, this was a dead country. We were dying, we were dead. And now you've got the hottest country anywhere in the world. This would have never happened except for certain people. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. NVIDIA is investing $500 billion to go along with Apple's $600 billion. $600 billion. Micron, great company, is investing $200 billion. IBM is investing more than $150 billion. SoftBank is investing substantially more than $100 billion. TSMC is investing $200 billion. Johnson & Johnson, $55 billion. Merck, Stellantis, and General Motors are putting many, many billions in. They haven't determined the final number. And many other countries are investing tens of billions. And I'm not going to give you the whole list because the list is too long to read. But it's hundreds of billions and even trillions. I mean, it's trillions of dollars is being invested right now. Last week, it was announced that our economy grew at 3% in the second quarter, and consumer confidence is surging. Blue-collar wages are rising rapidly. Costs are way down. You know, I listen to these horrendous frauds on CNN and various other fake news networks, and they say costs are up. No, costs are down. Gasoline is down. It's going to soon, I believe, be less than $2 a gallon. It's around $2.40 right now, many places, other than California where they tax you out of business, but and a couple of others. But gasoline is way down. The price of groceries are down. How about eggs? When I first came here, my first week, the press hit me very hard on eggs. Eggs had quadrupled or something. I said, I didn't know about it. Give me a chance. I've just been here for 4 days. Well, eggs are down. Everything's down. Price is down. The only thing that's up is stock prices. That's really up, and that's through the roof. The stock market has been hitting all-time records, all-time highs. Last week, it was announced that our economy grew at levels that we haven't seen in a long time, but the real levels of growth are going to be judged in a year from now when you start seeing some of these incredible plants, because we have car plants opening. They're coming in from Canada, from Mexico, and from all over the world. And they're coming in because they like the way the election worked out, but they also like the fact that they don't want to pay tariffs. And the tariffs, I think, we're taking in hundreds of billions of dollars in tariffs. I won't be so specific other than to say, because we don't even know what the final number is. We just made a deal, as you know, with the EU where they're paying hundreds of billions of dollars. Japan paying hundreds of billions of dollars, and numerous other countries paying hundreds of billions of dollars. And we're not even completed there. And as you know, they found $25 billion 3 weeks ago. They said, we have a surplus of $25 billion. And they said, where did this come from? I said, check the tariffs. And they checked. They said, you're right. That's where it came from. And we've really just started. This is just in its infancy. So we have a great country. We have a country that is going to be very rich. It's a country that we're very proud of, but it's going to be very rich. And it's companies like Apple, they're coming home. They're all coming home.
So we see there lots of what Trump has been playing as relates to his greatest hits. Basically, he's been talking like this from the beginning. And so there was a lot there that needs to be unpacked. But I want to turn it over to the panel. Greg, your question for Jennifer Barbosa.
Yeah, Jennifer, my question has to do with what you think the short and then longer term future of the international economy is, as countries like Brazil, countries like India, where Modi has said would never capitulate, countries like China, which are probably going to attract some of the smaller Pacific Rim and Asian countries like Cambodia, who may start doing business with them more. How do you perceive what Trump is doing? And I don't really listen to Donald Trump. I had to mute a whole lot of it because he's addled, he's incoherent, it's babble, and he seems hell-bent on continuing to create stagflation, even as he maybe be trying to line the pocket of some of his friends in the Middle East, particularly around oil, as we see what he's trying to do in India with Russian oil, and maybe trying to get them to wean themselves, and they're not. What's your sense of what this economic suicide by the President of the United States? It's not at all clear whether it's legal or not, whether it will stand. It's working its way through the courts. But let's say that it does sustain itself. What's your sense of the aftermath of this type of legal suicide for the U.S. economy? And do you see emerging out of the rubble of the United States economy a shift that allows the rest of the world to create not only an alternative economic system, but one that will permanently displace the United States of America as the central economic power in the world?
So I have the honor of sitting as a co-chair for the Global Opportunities Committee under the Atlanta Black Chamber. And what we do is we focus on leveraging connections between international businesses, particularly in the African diaspora. So we deal with businesses from over 40 countries around the world who are looking to do business and transactions between African American businesses here in the U.S. and African-based or African descent businesses abroad. And what I feel is going to happen is that we're going to start to ostracize ourselves from the rest of the world. And oftentimes, most Americans have not left the country, and we go according to what we are told, what we are shown on TV, and have no idea in regards to what is going on in other parts of the world and how advanced and how they are able to operate without the US. And so I think we are going to start to see things moving away and everyone else getting to play in the sandbox, and we're left out. And if we're not able to leverage the relationships that we have, apart from what the government is doing, especially as Black businesses, as the Black communities around the world, we are going to be left behind along with it, because we are going to be just casualties in what someone is doing to take control, and it's not in our benefit.
Reese, your thoughts on what Trump has been saying, or general questions for what Jennifer is talking about as it relates to her business and the chamber and the international work they're doing?
Well, normally, out of respect for our guests, I would ask a question, but it was like 50 to 100 bullshit claims that Trump made, so I have to use my time to see what he said.
Go for it.
My blood is boiling right now from listening to that.
Oh no,
for so
it's
long.
true.
So let me just be clear on a couple of things. Number one, this time last year, the American economy was adding over $100,000. I'm sorry, over 100,000 jobs per month. The jobs report came out and said that Trump's economy is adding 15,000 jobs a month. And that was a revision of 250,000 jobs downward. Supposedly 70,000 jobs were created in July. Let's see what the revision comes out with the new statistician if they don't fire them first for reporting the real numbers. Trump said that EU is paying all this money. Japan is paying all this money. These countries are not paying the tariffs. Americans are paying the tariffs. The hundreds of billions of dollars that Donald Trump is bragging about raising in tariff money is being paid by Americans. This is the largest tax increase on Americans since Donald Trump's last tax increase on Americans through the tariffs that he put on China in his first administration. And so Americans are paying the tariffs. Now, we haven't paid as much in tariffs because Donald Trump's already irrational policy has been irrational and erratic. So many of these tariffs have been paused and then they've restarted, except for the ones on China and the ones on Canada or whoever else. And so today was the last day from which the ones that didn't kick in on August 1st have finally kicked in. And so the deals, so-called deals that Donald Trump is negotiating will result in every single country having a tariff percentage of more than 0%, which means that every time we import a product from around the world and we have a global supply chain and a global economy, we are paying taxes on that. And for products that do not have the profit margins for the tariffs to be sustainable without increasing costs, and where costs are going to be so high that consumers will no longer buy it, we just won't have those products anymore. I talked to some MAGA people, and not even MAGA people. There are some people who aren't MAGA who say that, oh, tariffs are good because we need to produce American goods. That is not the intent of Donald Trump's policies by his own admission. Donald Trump is putting 50% tariffs on Brazil because he doesn't like that Bolsonaro is being prosecuted. What the hell does that got to do with the price of tea in China, or more accurately, the price of coffee in Brazil? So this is not, his policies have not been tailored towards spurring production in the United States. As a matter of fact, 11,000 manufacturing jobs were lost last month, even as 70,000 jobs were supposedly added. And so this is not about strengthening the American economy. It is destroying it. It is not about strengthening American businesses. It is causing businesses to scale back. They're letting go of people. They're not making capital investments. And they are going to raise prices. They're going to change formulations. That's what Procter & Gamble has said. They're going to have shrinkflation, where the products are going to be lower for the same price. So this is detrimental in every single facet humanly possible. Okay. This is not an improvement. And like I said, as long as Donald Trump is yielding these tariffs for whatever stupid ass whim that he has when he's not wandering around the roof of the White House, the American economy and American people are going to suffer. And as you pointed out, Jennifer, most people that are working people that are wage earners spend more of our money on the kind of goods that we're not going to be able to afford anymore. So the fact that the 2024 election was largely based on the economy, you played yourself. Everybody who thought the day was going, oh, well, when Trump was in office, the stuff wasn't as high. I had to pay as much for gas. I had to pay as much for cereal. You played yourself. Welcome to Trump's economy. It is just getting started, and it is going to get uglier and uglier from here.
That's why they call her Reese with the receipts. We really appreciate that. Jennifer, as well as Nola as well, I'm going to pull you in as well, but I want to get your comments from Secretary Howard Lutnick, who said that the government's about to rake in some serious cash, expecting $50 billion a month from tariffs, which is up from $30 billion just last month.
Billion, and as of last night, midnight, the tariffs went up. I think we're going to be heading towards $50 billion a month in tariff revenue that no one's talked about except for the president. So think about $50 billion a month, and that's where we are now. And then you're going to get the semiconductors, you're going to get pharmaceuticals, you're going to get all sorts of additional tariff money coming in. And as the president says, this could continue to head towards and ultimately reach $1 trillion. I mean, these are amazing numbers for the United States of America, and no one's retaliating. Everybody understands you've got to sell to the American consumer. The American consumer is the most powerful factor in the earth for the economy, and Donald Trump is harnessing it for the benefit of the American people.
What can you tell us about this 40% transshipment levy?
So the idea is, it's one thing to set a tariff. So we set a tariff on Vietnam of 20%, but that's for Vietnamese goods. If some other country, let's say China, wants to send things to Vietnam and have Vietnam then sell them to America, that comes with 40%. So if China wants to send stuff to America, let's just do it through China. Let's stop this nonsense of sending it through other countries. So that's the idea, which is if it's your country, you pay your tariff, and if it actually has significant content, like 30% from any other country, then it should be taxed at that other country's tariff. And that's a higher tariff.
Nola, they're throwing out a lot of numbers, thinking it's going to go over people's heads. What's your take from everything that you're hearing?
So many. Sis, Jennifer, I am going to do a little bit of what Reese did. We were texting back and forth because that clip was insufferable. It was filled with lies. It was filled with disinformation. And Lutnick is an acolyte. He's going to say what his king and his savior tells him to say. Like he said, no one else is saying these things but Donald Trump. It's a reason. So where I want to start is this fallacy about all the jobs that Apple is going to magically bring back to the United States. There's this thing called automation. There's this thing that is happening right now in Kentucky and in Texas with these data centers, which actually don't require a lot of human bodies to work inside of them, but they are also very destructive to the communities that they are in. So we need to break down bit by bit this massive lie that all these factories are going to open and give all these people in Michigan these factory jobs once again. And then even with that, what is the assumption here? That Americans want to return back to the factory? That they want to return back to factory jobs? Nothing about higher education, because that is being systemically dismantled. So not only is it's a huge fallacy about the amount of jobs that are going to come back to the United States of America to build iPhones. That's not going to happen because of automation. Let's also talk about the auto industry, another industry that you brought up. Where steel and aluminum, the prices are skyrocketing for Kias and Volkswagens, for cars that are affordable for people to buy. I'm going to quote from Car and Driver. This is what Car and Driver said. The Trump administration import tariffs are expected to make shopping for a new vehicle more difficult in the second half of 2025 and beyond. The tariffs have cut into automakers' profits, and experts predict higher costs will be passed on to the shoppers. Sticker prices may rise 4 to 8% by year's end. What advantage does that give the American consumer? What advantage does that give to a young person freshly out of college who wants their first affordable car? Whatever fairyland this man is living in, that has everything to do with his own mythology of thinking he is some sort of gangster, that he walks around the world, that he has a big stick and he wants to be a bully, and people are just going to capitulate to his whim. That is not how you do policy. You are not only hurting everyday Americans, you are hurting American companies. And that lie that he told about companies not pushing back, it's a reason why these tariffs have stopped and stalled, stopped and stalled, stopped and stalled. It's a reason why they call him Taco. I need to bring it down. I need to calm down a bit, because you know the thing that pisses me off more than anything, he has the pulpit. He has corporate media. So they are selling people these lies and they're landing, and people are believing it. They don't care about the truth. So that's the piece of this we need to figure out. I'm done.
Jennifer, I want to give you the last word. As somebody who represents a business on the ground, living this in real life, and somebody who's seeing this not only from a domestic, from an international perspective, what are your final thoughts as these tariffs get rolled out, as you look at your own business, as you hear these statements from Trump and Lutnick? What are your final thoughts here?
Well, so our company, we serve governments and corporations, as well as healthcare facilities. And those are the entities that support the communities and consumers. If we can't maintain our price, we cannot provide affordable, competitive pricing for those that we supply to. And in that case, they're not going to be able to do the same for their consumers. What's going to happen is everything that we're seeing now, we hear all of these things about these big tech companies coming in, but they're tech. Their job is to find more ways to eliminate the use of human necessities within those industries and make more technologies to minimize human use. So like what was said, we're not going to have jobs. And remember, we can't eat data chips. We can't drink, data power, and you know what I mean. So there are things that we need that is not going to be sustainable. We don't have enough land. We don't have enough people with the skill sets, and we don't have the raw materials that's necessary. So we're going to still need to import products, even if we make all of the factories for everything. And we're not capable of doing that. We're a country of consumption. We don't have the skill sets to be able to produce and maintain this in a long-term basis. And also, this isn't going to happen overnight. Factories do not get built in a week.
That's right.
So what we're hearing is that we're going to have to suffer, if this is actually what's going to happen, which I'm not sure. We're going to have to suffer for how long? How many years is it going to take to build all these factories to be able to produce what we're going to need to sustain this country? And then who's going to do all that work for minimum wage or less than to be able to maintain the cost that we need to be able to purchase these? I just don't see it happening anytime soon. And the reason why a lot of corporations left the United States was because of the cost of living, was unsustainable, and they moved their factories abroad in order to be able to maintain competitiveness. I don't see how that's not going to happen again.
Jennifer Barbosa, CEO of International Supply Partners, thank you so much for joining the show, and please keep us posted on how things are going in your business as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Isaac Hayes III, founder and CEO of Fanbase. Listen to what I'm about to tell you. The window to invest in Fanbase is closing. We've raised over $10.6 million of our $17 million goal. That means there's room for less than 6,370 people to invest in Fanbase for the average amount. The minimum to invest in Fanbase right now is $399. That makes you an owner in Fanbase today. Go to startengine.com/fanbase to invest. Why? Because current social apps have taken advantage of users for far too long, with content suppression, shadow banning, harmful racist content, and no real tools for monetization and equity. Fanbase has over 1.4 million users and counting, allowing anyone to reach all their following and monetize their content from day one. Social media is the new TV, and whoever owns the apps that distribute that content have the opportunity to own potential billion-dollar companies. While big platforms with uncertain futures are failing to serve their users, Fanbase is stepping up to fill the gap. Don't wait until it's too late. Invest now, invest for yourself and your future. Go to startengine.com/fanbase and own the next generation of social media.